Today, I'd like to invite you to a Structure Deck showcase of Structure Deck Yugi Volume 2. Structure Deck Yugi Volume 2 is an OCG exclusive structure deck released in Japan on May 22nd, 2003. It was the 5th deck to have ever been released in the OCG Structure Deck series. After doing a little bit of research, I found the Structure Deck Yugi Volume 2 on eBay for around £45, in comparison to Seto Kaiba's for 80 and Joey's for 72. Weirdly, it's the cheapest one. I couldn't find it on Amazon, but I did find Structure Deck Kaiba, and that was going for around £70, so pretty good investment if you have it or you want to sell it. Today, we're going to be pitting this 14-year-old deck against today's decks, just to see how it stacks up. Before that, though, let's see what we're working with. The deck features most of the cards used by the character Yugimoto during the Battle City arc of the Yu-Gi-Oh series. It also contains a brand new card for the time in the form of Magical Dimension, as well as new artworks for Dark Paladin and Dark Magician. Again, like most of the character decks we've seen so far, this deck doesn't have a strategy. It instead relies on getting out your stronger monsters, but unfortunately your options are limited to the Dark Magician with 2,500 attack, the Buster Blader with 2,600 attack, and the Dark Magician Girl, whose attack boosting effect will barely be utilized. However, if you're very lucky, the big boss of the deck is Dark Paladin, with 2,900 attack and the ability to get even stronger if you're up against a dragon deck. However, in the 15 games that I played with this deck, I never actually was able to summon it. Not even once. Despite this though, the deck does have some excellent spell and trap cards, with the likes of Magical Dimension, Dark Magic Curtain, Mirror Force, Magic Cylinder, and Royal Decree being some of the main highlights. Structure Deck Yugi Volume 2 contains 56 cards in total. 2 ultra rare cards, which are the Dark Paladin and Magical Dimension, as well as 54 common cards, which are the Dark Magician, Feral Imp, Giant Soldier of Stone, Gazelle, the King of Mythical Beasts, Mystical Elf, Beaver Warrior, Winged Dragon, Guardian of the Fortress, Dark Blade, Buster Blader, Dark Magician Girl, Kuribo, Big Shield Gardener, Obnoxious Celtic Guard, Skilled Dark Magician, Sangan, Magician of Faith, Old Vindictive Magician, Zombria the Dark, Giant Rat, Royal Magical Library, Polymerization, Fusion Sage, Monster Reborn, Pot of Greed, Mystic Box, Monster Recovery, United We Stand, Mystical Space Typhoon, Spellbook Organization, Fissure, Emblem of Dragon Destroyer, Remove Trap, Magic Cylinder, Spellbinding Circle, Mirror Force, Light Force Sword, Magic Jammer, Regeki Break, Dust Tornado, People Running About, Oppressed People, United Resistance, Thousand Knives, Dark Magic Curtain, Restructure Revolution, Defusion, Fusion Gate, Tribute to the Doomed, The Eye of Truth, Trap Hole, Royal Decree, Chain Destruction, Shift, and Huge Revolution. To test this deck out in today's meta, we're going to have to take out the banned cards, unfortunately, which are Monster Reborn and Pot of Greed, so not too much has been taken out really. And then let's side in and out what we want, and here we go. This is the deck I will be using. You might have a different one to me, let me know how you would change it, but let's see how it does. Okay, so first of all, the controlled variant, we're going to be playing against the Link Strike starter deck. So this is just to see how it does. We're going to be pitting that deck against all of these decks in the future. So how does this deck do against it? We didn't have any wins in the 3 matches. I think we came close maybe one time to winning. This deck has an awesome ability to turn things around every now and then. Like, it's got a good response to things, like with things like Mirror Force being absolutely fantastic trap card, it's really good. Spellbinding Circle, you're able to stop some cards. Trap Hole, not the best trap card you can have, but it's not too bad. One of the bad decisions that I added into the deck was Chain Destruction. For some reason I thought that the monster summoned is also destroyed, and then all the other monsters of the same name are sent to the graveyard as well. That isn't the case. That is, I think it's Chain... it's called Chain something, but it's a similar card, but unfortunately you just send the cards similar named to the graveyard, and most of the time this helps out the opponent. So if I were to redo this deck, I probably wouldn't leave Chain Destruction in, if I'm being completely honest with you. Now, Royal Decree, don't get me wrong, is an absolutely fantastic card to have in any deck, except for the fact that if you run a lot of trap cards as well, then it can be a massive, huge problem. If you're playing something like, say, a Malefic skill drain deck, which I'd like to play with, when you have these massive monsters that it's not very likely they're going to summon a stronger monster than you. Royal Decree is a great response because that's going to stop them from activating trap cards in response to your monsters attacking. So Royal Decree probably would have taken it out in this build, even though it is a really good card. Maybe I could have just got rid of all the trap cards, but that was the biggest plus to the deck. So yeah, Royal Decree could have maybe come out, and Magic Jammer, great card. You can stop some really important cards your opponent wants to play, but at the cost of one of your cards as well, it can be quite a hindrance. Now, this has annoyed me the entire time I was playing with this deck. You'd think in 15 duels I would be able to summon the Dark Paladin, this ultimate monster, but not a single one. I was able to get the Polymerization, the Dark Magician, and the Buster Blade together at the same time, and it really, really was annoying. I mean, we had cards to add these to my hand, like Fusion Sage, as well as Emblem of Dragon Destroyer, but it never actually came to fruition, which is really annoying. I mean, I took out Fusion Gate, and I hope that didn't cost me anything because we never got it. Now, there was a strategy in this deck that I never used, and it revolved around Oppressed People, United Resistance, and People Running About. Those three cards combine with Huge Revolution, whose trap card ability is the card can only be activated while the three monsters are faced upon your side of the field. Send all cards in your opponent's hand to the graveyard and destroy all cards your opponent controls on the field. So if you were able to pull that off, which I guess could be possible. I mean, one of them has 2,000 defense, and the other two are just pretty normal, but getting all three monsters out is actually quite difficult in this deck, so never really played it, but I guess someone could do it, maybe. Magical Dimension, it was new for the time coming out with this, but it's actually a really, really good card, and you still see people play it every now and then. So say you summon something like Mystical Elf, you could tribute it and special summon your Dark Magician, destroy a card on your opponent's side of the field. Very good. The only problem with it in this deck is you've got very limited targets. Even though there was quite a few options to go for, there just never was enough, really, because the big ones you really want to go for are the Dark Magician and the Dark Magician Girl, and it's just quite difficult to get those monsters to your hand, so it's unfortunate. Dark Magic Curtain, great card, pay half your life points, special summon Dark Magician to your side of the field. Awesome card, can't really say any complaints. Tribute to the Doomed, another great spell card, great card. For sure, let's get rid of Troublesome Monsters, another good card. Monster Recovery, God knows what possessed me to put this in my deck. It just sounds good when you read it, but in utilization, when you're always like kind of on the back foot with this deck, absolutely awful card. Would not recommend putting Monster Recovery in this deck. Put in anything else apart from this, please. Skilled Dark Magician, I was never actually able to use its ability, and I'm curious to know, because I never actually had the opportunity either, if you summon Dark Magician to the field, if you've got a skilled Dark Magician in the graveyard, does that count as a Dark Magician monster? Will that increase the attack of Dark Magician Girl? If anyone can let me know, please do it. Big Shield Garner, 2600 defense, awesome card, except for the fact that it switches to defense after it's attacked once. People never expected it. You'd always do like 500 or something damage, so I guess it was okay. Obnoxious Celtic Guard is a good card, as long as they have monsters with over 1900 attack, and obviously can boost yours with United We Stand, so those two cards can go well together, but it never really survived that long, if we're being completely honest with you. Honestly, no, there's not actually that much to talk about this deck with. There's no real strategies to go for, so I don't think the deck was that good. I honestly think this is worse than the original structure deck Yugi deck. I don't know. Some of the cards are better, but overall the deck isn't as consistent. It's just not as good. And with only two bans being taken out, which were Monster Reborn and Pot of Greed, that Pot of Greed I guess could have been utilized quite well, but no. Not a massive fan of this deck. I actually found it quite bad. Wouldn't recommend it to play with or to buy, unless you're a collector, of course. But I'd love to know what you guys thought of this deck in the comment section below. What did you think of my dueling with this deck as well? Probably wasn't the best, but I'm curious to see. We didn't have very many wins, if any wins, if I'm honest. But I want to say, guys, thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like. We'll be doing another one next Sunday. But other than that, thanks a lot for watching. Catch you later.